switch up the graphics.
Turn it to some positive news.
Yeah, exactly. Versus the
Hell yeah.
playoffs. This was a hell of a game.
This game was so much fun to watch.
Yeah. Did you watch it live? I know sometimes you tape it and watch it later.
I watched it this morning.
Oh, cool. Yeah. It was a great game. I'm gonna go through the scoring summary real fast, and then we'll all break it down a little bit, and then we'll quickly go through the Nats week, and then we'll try to end the podcast a little bit early tonight for once in my life. So not that everyone doesn't love a 2-hour show, but all right, here we go. Here's the scoring summary for the Defenders versus the Sea Dragons. It sounds very dramatic. So it started off well. We outscored them 8-0 in the first. So we're successful in going for 2 once again. In the second quarter, we also scored and went for they scored next. They tried to go for a 3-point conversion. There was a pass interference call. So then they got a chance to try for 3 from the 1-yard line, and we stuffed them, which I think is really big momentum. So instead of going up 9-8, they're down 8-6 with 10:35 in the second quarter. So, and at the end of the quarter, 1:24 left, we get a touchdown pass for 11 yards and a 2-yard rush for the extra to go up 10 points. And then in the third quarter, we extend that lead. A great pass for 14 yards. But the 2-point rush failed on that one. And in fact, it was a fumble. It was picked up and ran back the other way. So that made it 22-8. So then unfortunately they scored a touchdown, a 46-yard touchdown pass, and then a 1-point conversion complete. And that makes it a 7-point game going into the fourth quarter. They get a field goal to get it to 4 points, and then a big time touchdown with 5 minutes and 13 seconds left, and a 2-point conversion pass failed. So that's he actually threw that one. Did I throw that one? No, he threw a different one, I think. Anyway, go up 10. They unfortunately score a touchdown. They get a 3-point conversion complete. They brings it to a 1-point game. Then we get a touchdown with 2:10 left, a 70-yard pass. But the 2-point conversion failed. So we're only up 7. And they try, and so they get a touchdown, the Sea Dragons, with 32 seconds left. A 14-yard pass from Ben DiNucci. And so they get within 1 point, and they go for 2 here. They go for 1 and get it. It's pretty easy. They did it earlier that night, but they try to go for 2 for the win, and they get stuffed. So they get stuffed out of 5 points here from extra point tries. That's really the difference in this game, because we win it by 1 point, 34-33. We'll go to 7-1 on the season, and we clinch that first North playoff spot with an opportunity. If we win one more game of the last 2, we'll get a home advantage for the one playoff game that happens. So it'll be between the number 1 and number 2 team in the North. And it looks like it's pretty competitive between the Sea Dragons and the Battlehawks on who will get that second spot. And they actually play each other next week. So that'll be a very big game, but we'll preview that in a little bit. I'm going to go around the horn. I'm going to ask Champ first. What were some of your thoughts on this game?
Like I said, this was such a fun game to watch because of the fact in that fourth quarter, it was such a shootout between the two teams. They combined for 30 points scored in the fourth quarter. That is absolutely insane that 30 of the 67 points that were scored combined for these two teams happened in the fourth quarter. Jordan Ta'amu once again doing pretty well, passing the ball 17-26, 247 yards with 4 touchdowns, including 2 big touchdown passes late in the game. Ben DiNucci just can't seem to beat a DC team. He couldn't do it when he was with the Cowboys, and now he can't do it with Seattle. Holy crap. But anyway, but it was a really fun game. I think the one thing, though, is that Seattle was able to kind of slow down our dominant running game, but then they got exposed because our passing game is not that bad. and they got exposed to the utmost with at the tune of Ta'amu having 247 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. Also, we got to see the XFL debut in this game of former Washington Commander safety DJ Swearinger, and I'm pretty
good.
sure.
You
And
know,
he was actually really good.
Super flashy, but he was solid. And I can appreciate it, especially for your first game back. Thank you.
I'm waiting for him. I'm waiting for him to get his real true swagger on, especially like if they get close to the playoffs. I'm just waiting for the swagger to really come out because I think it's coming. I honestly think it's coming.
Time for him to join the league too, just a couple of games before the playoffs to get a couple of tune-up games, and then he doesn't have a chance of getting hurt in the early games and
the playoff run.
Yeah, and potential playoff run. I mean, he could be the missing piece that they need.
That secondary is looking really good with Joseph back there, and then Swearinger. I mean, Joseph was actually was kind of on point as well, having to deal with Josh Gordon back there, but they were pretty good. They were pretty solid when it came on the defensive side, and then when it came time to really knuckle down when they were up 1, they came up big with the sack on the conversion attempt, and then the 4th down attempt, which failed as well. So I mean, there you go. That's all you can ask for is just great all around playing from this Defenders team, and basically have clinched themselves a spot in the playoffs. And now pretty much every news outlet that covers the XFL are saying this team right here, the DC Defenders, are favorites to win the XFL championship. And that makes me effing nervous. That makes me nervous because now they might have jinxed us, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, we have a good defensive coach in Greg Williams. I like our head coach. I mean, I think we have a solid team. It's built around the running attack. I wanted to check it out. I don't even know if we ran that many opportunities. I think we saw that there was a lot of options in the passing game. Because I'm looking at the rushing attempts, and it doesn't seem like we carried it a lot. It's not like we were bad, particularly bad. Because Abram Smith only had 17 carries, but he still had 66, which is 3.9, which is good.
Yes.
And then Ta'amu didn't, and there was 8 rushes, some of that scrambling yardage too, as a quarterback. So, and then there was another guy who had 7 carries for 9 yards. That wasn't particularly great, but it wasn't like we were attempting a ton of rushes there and they shut it down badly.
I'm not a fan of Armstead, by the way. I like Abram Smith over Armstead. Rockwell Armstead, I don't know, something about him. I just don't like him as a runner. I would most likely use him more as a 3rd down back instead of just, coming and getting some of the carries in place of Abram Smith. I would much rather use him as a 3rd down back and have Abrams be the featured tailback. But I mean, if that's the strategy they want to use, is to alternate and have a different styles that come back there, that's their thing if it works for them. But I'm just not a fan of Rockwell Armstead as opposed to Smith, who just is a downhill through between the tackles runner and knows how to keep his feet moving and take contact and keep moving. Armstead isn't really that type of running back, and so it kind of
change the pace. I think that's by design in some ways that they're trying to change it up so that way you're not but my thought is, why not put King in some sort of wildcat then, because he's a really good in downs where you're going to potentially run it, because you could pretend to give it to him, he could run it, or pass down the field. I mean, we run a 2 quarterback system. I find it strange that we never deploy them together if one's a good running threat. So it just seems like at least to try it to see if it worked. I mean, I'm not saying it's an every down thing, but we haven't really seen much of that used.
They might be saving it for the playoffs.
Yeah,
you can do that one game effectively, and then people figure it out. But.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Maybe. I hope so. But just a thought that I had looking at the box score, because I think he could even be a more effective runner in some ways than Armstead. So
yeah, I agree.
It's something a thought. Tim, what are your thoughts on that game?
Well, I haven't watched obviously as much as you guys this year, but I just like the product of the XFL, like you guys were talking about. It is very fast paced, less stoppages, a lot more transparency about the calls. And I think DC I feel like their offense is going to improve, as time goes on, just because it is odd to have two quarterbacks, and trying to figure out how to make it work the best way possible takes time. So, I mean, they clearly have the defense, but I think the offense is going to probably just continue to improve and could be scary by playoff time.
Yeah, I definitely seen a big improvement on the offensive side as the games progressed through the season. I thought in the first couple
Yeah,
of games,
some low scoring.
wasn't great, and then it became a very dynamic rushing attack, but the passing wasn't good. But I think we're at a place now where I feel like now the passing's better, the rushing needs a little help, but I think they're starting to find their balance between the two, which is good. And I like that they're using different attacks versus different teams. It's not the same approach
Yeah.
each game. And I think it's important to practice some of that, especially for the playoffs. So that way, if something isn't working, you can sort of shift it on the fly a little bit. So I think that's really key as well. So
I will say this though, I love the fact that when you can challenge, you can even challenge a penalty. They attempted to challenge if there was a pass interference penalty, and they looked at it and was like, yeah, there was no pass interference, so we're gonna just keep it the way it is. So I really like that in the XFL. You can
I
even
like
challenge penalties.
I like that
challenge
too,
anything.
and I like that you walked us through it. The official, and he said, "Look, I see a lot of hand checking, but I don't see like any egregious like pulling them away so you can't make a play. Like they're both hand checking each other, which is legal in our sport." So
Dean Blandino, my brother said this at dinner, Easter Sunday dinner. He said Dean Blandino got his hand in every pot he can have at this point in his career, because he's doing the XFL, he's with the NFL and stuff like that. So, I mean, Dean Blandino does a great job of walking people through the review process and what they're looking for in terms of a turnover, a challenge, what have you, which is awesome. I really love the transparency that is done with the XFL when it comes to the challenge thing, because then you'll understand as a fan why a call either got overturned or stands or was confirmed, because you're getting the play-by-play from a rules official that is a longtime referee in the NFL who does this for a living and tells you this is what's going on. So that's what I appreciate about the XFL, is being able to have that transparency of, hey, this is why this call is this is the decision of this call is because of X, A, B, C, D, all the way to X, Y, Z.
I'm surprised he didn't send him there.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go, but
Yeah, I think he should have sent him. Anyway, sorry, there was a nice hit to
one out.
double with one
Yeah.
out. I think they should have sent them for the run, but we're still in the third. So I guess your hope is that you can
Play for the 2 runs.
play for 2 runs.
Play
So
for a single.
we'll see. 1 out, 0-1 count right now to Dominic Smith. Again, top of the third inning, we're down 1 run. Gets it in there for a strike. So he's behind in this count already. Yeah, it's an interesting time to be a Defenders fan. I'm really happy with the product though. One of the things I love is they use their resources really well. Like they're utilizing all the ESPN resources and the places that they're playing these games, and I think that they're doing a good job just trying to prove an idea and get all the way through to the end, because they already said they're going to come back for next season. They're just trying to, like, because in 2020 they started the season but couldn't finish it. They're just trying to, I think, finish the season, even if the ratings aren't amazing. But I think people are talking about it. I've been telling everybody about it, and even Gil earlier, right before the podcast and in the pre-podcast on this show, we were talking about how he really likes it. He checked it out because I was talking about it on the show, and I think more people will check it out, and I'm just happy it's a good product, and hopefully the playoffs are exciting. And so far, a lot of the games have been very exciting.
Should have sent him.
Yeah.
Cop out.
It's an out. So now it's
And by the way, it's so crazy to think that there's already a team that's eliminated from the playoffs, which is Vegas, unfortunately.
There's 2, I believe. One
Yeah.
from
I think the San Antonio thing is bad though, that the home team is like awful.
Yeah,
so there's not, you would want them to have a playoff game probably.
Right, but they have to get the home one. They have to be the 1 seed. So you have to hope that they're the best, which is that's hard. So but I agree, and they lost to the Roughnecks 17-15 in overtime. So we'll talk about the overtime rules real quick. They do it like a little bit like college and a little bit like a shootout in the NHL, where you get they keep on having to try for 2. You get 3 tries on it for each team, and then whoever best out of 3 wins, just like you do in the shootout. You get those many points added to your total score. So One team scored 4 points in the overtime, the Battlehawks over the Vipers. The Vipers thought they got a 2-point conversion, but it was called back. And then the momentum swung, and then the Battlehawks got 2 in a row, and they ended up winning by that score. And then the Roughnecks got only 1, but the Brahmas got nothing in the overtime. So I lost that one 17-15. But the Renegades Guardians, which is a battle of the two of the mediocre teams, that was 18-16. So you're talking about every one of the games was within 4 points. Either went to overtime or decided by 3 or less points. So if you're talking about you wanting a competitive league, I mean, that's just a snapshot of a single week. That's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of interesting games. People were excited about them. Let's look ahead to week 9. Got a full slate of games here. Saturday at 12:30. On ABC, you got the Roughnecks versus the Vipers. The Roughnecks are the best team in the South. They should be able to manhandle the Vipers, who are not very good. But we'll see how that goes. Not a great game to have on ABC is your game that you're nationally televising. The ESPN2 game is the Guardian versus the Brahmas. That's another terrible game. That could be very on ESPN2. On Sunday at noon, the Defenders play the Renegades. So that's gonna be the last home game of the season for Washington of the regular season. That game's gonna be on ESPN again at noon on Sunday. We're 7-1. We win that game, we clinch the number 1 seed and the 1 playoff game at home. The Renegades are 4-4 though, so they're playing pretty good. The Defenders have yet to lose a home game, so we'll see if they can keep that alive in this one. And then the last game of the week is probably arguably the best game of the week. It's the Sea Dragons versus the Battlehawks. The Sea Dragons have to win that game if they want to make the playoffs. The Battlehawks will clinch the playoffs if they win it. That should be a good game, especially the fact that it's in at the Battlehawks, where their fans have been super rowdy and they've been filling up the stadium, and that's a 3:00 game on Sunday on ESPN. So both games are on ESPN again at 12 and 3. So I think Sunday is the better slate of games if you can only catch one day of games.
Seattle and St. Louis is a huge game. I mean, I might even find myself watching that game just to see if DC's gonna play either Seattle or St. Louis, or have a potential to play one of those two teams coming up in the North Division Championship game.
Yeah, exactly. And luckily, we've beaten both of them twice, so we own the tiebreaker over both of them. But the reason we still have to win one game to assure that number 1 spot, because if we lose both, they could still, in theory, if Battlehawks win the last 2 games, they would get 8 wins, and we would only have 7 if we lost the last 2. Our last game, which we'll preview next week, though, is just so people know, is against those terrible. We're playing in the Alamo Dome. Hopefully, we'd get excited about playing in a big stadium, even if it's empty. That'll be an interesting game. That game will be on ABC on the Saturday, April 22nd at 3. So just looking a little bit ahead there. Champ, any final thoughts on playing the Renegades this week, or anything else about the XFL?
I mean, again, the Renegades, this is going to be an interesting game with the Renegades, because right now they just came off a win. They're 4-4. They're still in the hunt to get that. They're pretty much looking good to make their division championship in the South, because they're 2 games ahead of the Brahmas of San Antonio. Even if they drop this game here, even if San Antonio loses next week against Orlando, Arlington's in. It's going to be an all Texas. It's going to be an all Texas matchup in the playoffs for the South, and then we got to keep our focus on making sure that we continue to win games and finish the season with only the 1 loss to really give ourselves that chance for that final, that playoff home game that we could have. And that playoff home game will take place on Sunday, April 30th at 3 p.m. It'll be shown on ESPN, and we could have that playoff game, have the fans in the stands going crazy, probably have the longest beer snake of all time and everything like that. But right now, the focus has got to be on this week. It's got to be on Arlington coming into our house. They got to keep up the momentum. The passing game is starting to become a really big thing, a really strong part of this offense. The run game has got to get back to where it was earlier. And I'm telling you, this team is going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, I agree. Let's focus on this one game because if we were able to win it, I honestly think you could rest some players in that last game because we would have already clinched the division. I mean, I know you want momentum, but give some playing time to some of the other guys a little bit to get, maybe the people that are your secondary ones. You never know when your main guys are going to get injured and you need them to jump into a game.
Yeah.
So I think you give them some reps and maybe even the backup quarterback swap it, because he's been getting less reps total, but he's a really good option, so obviously it's important we win this week. Can't overlook that one. But if we do win it, I wouldn't be surprised if they, platoon guys a little bit differently in that last game.
I wouldn't be surprised either if they beat Arlington and then in that last game they decide to sit Jordan Ta'amu and play De'Ara King the majority of the game and sit Abram Smith and play Armstead and not play Chris Blair as much and things like that. I wouldn't be surprised either. I wouldn't be opposed to it either because I think that would be smart.
Yeah, because you don't want them to get an injury right before the playoffs. That would be the killer, and they're playing so well, and there is no bye week in the XFL, so you could kind of in some ways make it for some key players. So I mean we have to focus on this next game. No game in the XFL is a gimme as we've already lost to the worst team in the XFL, and as you were saying. This would clinch the playoffs for them so that they want to win it, but we're at home. I'm hoping that we can ride some of this momentum from this big Seattle win, and we've been playing pretty well at home, so we'll definitely talk about that game the next week as well. But Champ, any final thoughts on the XFL before I let you talk a little bit about you have a season premiere coming up, right?
Yes. Well, final thoughts on the XFL is if I even trolled my dad about this during dinner. I said, Dad, you got to watch this. It's so much fun to watch. It's so unique. The rule set's different. And my brother told him, yeah, I mean, because he's a referee. He's a high school football referee. And he even told him, like, as a referee, you would really get a kick out of the rules and how things are officiated and things like that. So, if you still have not gotten sold on the XFL, I would get sold on it now because I'm telling you, it is so much fun to watch. So definitely get into it for these final 2 regular season games and then whatever playoff games. As for this upcoming week, we are premiering our season 8 premiere of the No Spots Weekly Wrestling Podcast, where we will go back in a time and recap WrestleMania 39, both nights that happened, as well as NXT Stand and Deliver. We will also have all the news that happened from this week. Hopefully there's no news about Vince McMahon interfering with crap again, because he interfered with crap last week and we had the worst Raw after WrestleMania in the history of WWE. So we'll have all the news and notes from this week. Also, we will be talking about New Japan with Capital Collision taking place here in DC this weekend, which I still plan to go to. I'm going to wait until Friday to buy my ticket. Hopefully they're not all gone by then. But we will be having the podcast stream live on Twitch Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, since I will be planning to go to Capital Collision on Saturday to go check out New Japan's next American pay-per-view here in the States. So that'll be happening this week. If you want to go back and listen to our season finale and our thoughts about pre-thoughts about WrestleMania, you can go into SportsOTHP.com, click the podcast partners button, and check us out in the archives and get ready for our season premiere this coming weekend.
Yeah, so we've updated the website. The website is updated for season 8. Team Sports OTHP has the links. We added Gil on there, and of course we've got Tim's stuff information there. But we also have Champ and all of the podcast information. So if you click on the podcast partners, it just goes to the audio podcast. But if you want to have the links to his Twitch channel if you're listening back, his Facebook, his Twitter, his YouTube, the Twitter for the No Spots Pod as well. All those links and his bio, all on Team Sports THP button. Check that out as well as the podcast partners button. But Champ, thank you so much for breaking it down. I'm so excited about this XFL season. I'm looking forward to talk more about it with you next week.
Absolutely. I will see you guys next week. And as always, no kigenyo. Sayonara.
A good one.
Have a good one. All right. So unfortunately, we're switching to the Nats right as they are now down 4-1. They've allowed 2 more runs, right?
Yeah, Corbin looks terrible.
Yeah.
Not a shock after last year.
Yes, exactly. So we're gonna just quickly go through the scoring of this week, and then we're gonna sign off and we're gonna raid. So far, it was not a particularly great week. We started off with 3 straight losses to Tampa Bay, who's Tampa Bay's been on fire. How many wins did you say? They're 10 now?
I think 10-0, I believe.
They were
Yeah.
9-0 last night.
Yeah, and they won tonight.
Yeah,
They won tonight, so
they're
they're 10 now.
they're
Yeah.
10 now. Yep.
Damn.
So we
That's
lost.
a record
Yeah,
for over a century.
Yeah, so they lost 6-2 in the first one, 10-6 in the second, and 7-2 in the third one. Then we lost to Colorado 1-0, which is always devastating, just because like it's not good to be shut out, but also just so close because one run gets you right back into it. But they were able to come back. That was on Thursday in Colorado, and then on Friday, continuing the series in Colorado, they actually won 10-5. On Saturday, they won 7-6 in a very close game. So that one, they were up at 1.7-2, but then Colorado made it very interesting and scored a bunch of runs, 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth, and almost came back in it. And then in the next game, they did come back, right? Yeah. So
The Nats were winning.
yeah,
on
and then
Sunday.
the bottom of the sixth. Yeah, the bottom of the fifth, it was 3-3. And then the top of the sixth, they go up 6-3. And then the bottom of the sixth, they go down 6-7. It was a crazy 6th inning both ways. And they end up losing by that same score of 7-6. Yeah, they've got this live game that we've been breaking down. Unfortunately, LA went up early 2-0. Washington in the bottom of the first, and then in the bottom of the second, we scored. And then here in the bottom of the third, they've now scored 2 runs to make it 1-4. And the upcoming week ahead for the Nationals is 2 more games in LA, one at 9:38 tomorrow, Tuesday the 11th. And then on Wednesday, it's a matinee, a 4:00 game our time. It's a 1:00 game out in LA start. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have a Cleveland series. So we have Thursday off. The Cleveland series starts. This series actually is back in Washington. That's why they have a travel day. 7:05 Cleveland in Washington on Friday, 4:05 on Saturday in Washington, and then 1:35 on Sunday in Washington against Cleveland. And then we start a mini series with Baltimore the following week on Tuesday, Wednesday. That game is in Washington. You were saying that you were going to go to a series, but you're
I'm going to the Tuesday game. I think that's the first game.
Yeah, the 18th.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we'll talk next week about how they did, and maybe I'll even preview with Tim the series with Baltimore next week after we
Definitely
talk a little XFL if you join us for that conversation as well. What we will do a Caps talk to start next week. We'll have Gil and C4 back on. Carol might be joining us. I'll see you there, and then we'll have Champ and Arun is on. What? I didn't even know Arun
oops.
is on. Arun, are you there? Arun never brought him his camera, so I never knew he was there.
Oops.
All right. Well, hello, Arun.
You could do a sign in
Sign
sign out.
in, sign out.
We're
You'll
about
get
to be done.
You get credit for coming. You get. We've got Benson here as well, so we've got the old carpool in effect. Arun, I guess, did you watch the XFL game?
No, but I saw the Mystics. They traded their first round draft pick. It was like the weirdest trade I've ever seen. They traded their first round draft pick for a 25 first round draft pick and a 2024 first round draft pick, and they had the number 4 pick. It's like kind of the weirdest trade. It's like, I don't know if Ernie Grunfeld's running the Mystics or not.
We just don't feel like picking anybody.
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Did you message us that you were on? I'm sorry if I missed
What
that.
are your thoughts on the tank?
Yeah.
before-
The tank?
Or the Wizards? the tank?
There's, I guess, like I'm fine. Like number 8 pick is good enough. Like I didn't want the number 14th pick. I think number 8 they can get somebody. Obviously, the number 1 pick would be like if they win the lottery, that would be huge. But I think there's not that much difference between like 4 and like 12, to be honest. The Wizards have an opportunity to get a pretty good player, but a lot of like, I don't know, trusting Tommy Shepard to make the right pick might be tough, but maybe he's due.
Yeah.
And Johnny Davis, I guess, had a couple 20-point games, so at least he's not so bad, but still not that great either.
How's his offensive efficiency?
Pretty bad. He shot 20% from 3 in his last game. And then the Wizards were really tanking. They played like Isaiah Todd. He hadn't played, I think, the whole like season. Played him 45 minutes in the last game to make sure they tanked really good after they won a couple games that they shouldn't have won.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Heat game.
it's just so frustrating because I feel like they got the exact spot that I didn't want them to get. Arun, any thoughts about the defenders? You said you didn't watch the game, but your thoughts on their play at least?
Yeah, like I know they lost like not this week, but the previous week, so that was unfortunate. But I guess the dual quarterback situation, they're still like playing well. Their offense and their running game is really good. And I guess Greg Williams, back in DC in the defensive coordinator position is always going to work out. I guess hopefully he's not doing any Donnie Gates or anything like that. But yeah, back it's like funny. I guess the defenders are like the East Coast team, and yeah, I think maybe the go-to place, especially now that the Wizard season is over and people will be lining up for the Audi Stadium, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting that the defenders now have ex Commanders players and DJ Springer and coaches. I guess well, it was a Redskins coach because it was so long ago, but
Yeah.
it's just interesting that they're like loading up on DC talent, and it's just weird because like I still understand they don't live here. Like they live in that bunt just work. They just
Yeah, but
laid down-
he didn't score though. You gotta, I mean, it's difficult to score, but you should
They
try.
got on though. So you had 2 bunts in a row.
There was a bunt, then a sack fly, then a bunt again,
Yeah,
and one of
Which
them
is kinda
worked,
crazy.
but 0 runs.
0.
And I predict 0 runs this inning. Prove me wrong, Nats.
Yeah. Now it's a home run.
Yeah,
that would be
well, then
great.
it's all worked out.
That was a bunch to get out on base, not a bunch to advance the running.
I know.
Which is
Well,
just like-
it's based on the pitch that was.
Do you think it was
thrown.
a suicide squeeze where he like
I don't
ordered
think
it
that-
because
no, I think he saw where the pitch was thrown, that he just knew that he couldn't bunt it down for the run, so he just
Yeah.
got something out of it.
basically a walk.
How did the Orioles get promoted and the Nationals get demoted in SportsOTHP baseball talk?
Yes, well, we talked
Maybe.
about they did win.
Yeah, we mentioned them. a
Oh,
little.
bloop it in. Bloop, 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 bloop.
Oh, that was
Yes,
terrible
yes,
defense.
yes. That's what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
get all the way home.
Oh no.
He would have been out. He
Oh,
got
but
to
good,
second.
good, good run to second. That was good. That was all right. We got run. We
Things are
advanced
looking up.
two things. I'm happy that we stayed on. So good job, Arun. We made us stay on long enough to actually see something positive for the Nationals.
Yeah. I need to get my Nationals TV coverage sorted out, I guess. He doesn't have the Nationals, but maybe I'll figure something out.
Yeah, I mean,
Some illicit streams.
Or yeah, or
Not for great reasons, but
face right there. I feel like he distracted him just enough that he like
yeah,
double
he should have made
clutched,
that
and
play.
then-
But he
Peter
was,
Angelo.
I gotta hurry it.
Move the Nationals.
Yeah, it was a terrible throw though.
Yeah, it was just a terrible. He double clutched it.
He double clutched it
and
and
threw it
threw it
away.
badly.
2 errors. Now let's give him
They're
one.
showing the same face now.
Yeah.
No, he has definitely 1 error on the play, but yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna keep it here just to see if we can do
Finish
something.
up the inning.
Yeah. Well,
Come on, Jaime Condoliero.
yeah, I'll switch the graphics once again. Yeah, 58 times during this.
How much is Patrick Corbin getting paid per inning he pitches?
Yeah, it's
$1 million per run he gave up.
Or maybe like $1. Who makes a million runs a week?
a ball.
150 grand per out.
Is Steven Strasburg supposed to come back soon? Like
No, I don't think so.
2024?
I think he could retire, but he's just like, I'm still getting paid to
The
rehab.
Bobby Bonilla deal.
Yeah.
Hey, just sit around and do nothing.
For
Ooh,
50 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh. I feel like he should have just let that go right.
That
in,
was a
because
ball,
I feel like it
probably.
was a ball. And he could
Yeah.
have for now.
He just wanted
Or
to
it
get a
was
hit.
close enough, but I don't feel like you're gonna get a good hit off that. Like even if he had popped that up, it would have been an out. I don't think
Yeah.
there's any way that would have been a base one. Oh no. That was a good pitch though.
Yeah. Hard to hit that one.
Yeah. All right, here we go. The count 2-2, top of the fourth inning. We're down 2 runs, 2 outs, base runner on second and third, and the pitch they fouled off.
Nice build up for the foul.
Gotta love the pitch clock. Though. This is a little bit faster than it would be.
Yeah, it's true.
They can't
Add some,
dick around
some
and
drama.
throw to first 5 times in a row.
It's cool that we've had 3 live sports games tonight. The Orioles have won so far. The Caps have won
About to be 3-0.
a game to. I don't know.
But
Did
they're
the Caps want to win?
they're 0-1 in the tank.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Hit! There we go. Oh, come on. Send them. There you go. Tie
yeah,
game.
4-4.
Oh wow.
All right.
Angels in the outfield. Nationals in the outfield.
Angels did not play well in the outfield, sure. All right. I'll
They
take
have
it.
the 2 best players, but the rest of their team not so much. Like
Anthony
pitching.
Rendon.
So, Ohtani plays as a DH. Is that the thing?
Yeah.
DH or a starter.
Or a starter? That's crazy. They
Yeah.
plays every game though.
Well, he's that good.
And yet the Angels are so bad.
Yeah.
I was confused because when I saw him earlier, I was like, oh, but he's not pitching.
I think he also makes the most in a per year amount ever. Like he's like 50 million for
I
this
mean,
year. He
And I
should.
think that his contract is almost up, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, he's a free agent after this year. Most people think he's gone because the Angels suck.
Yeah.
They might even trade him this year if they are bad before the All-Star break.
That's
They're
possible.
5-4 now.
Yeah. Not
The
trading him
things
this
for the
week.
Nationals, it's not great. Not looking good.
Big game trade.
He's going to the Nats.
Or the Orioles.
They'd have to give up a lot.
Oh, yeah. So it's
Corbin for Otani straight up.
we got a ball in the strike here, top of the fourth, reset here, 2 outs, 4-4 game. We got a base runner on first. No,
Practicing for radio.
there you go. Ooh, and it's
Pause
in-
for our stations to identify
inside,
themselves.
Yeah.
According to the Washington Post, Corbin's giving up 17.5 hits per 9 innings.
Oh no.
That's not good.
And it says not going to cut it.
Yeah, you want to be under 1 hit and walk per inning, and he's at like over 2.
Mm.
I'm sure if you include walks,
That's
'cause he's
bad.
Oh yeah,
Walks.
walks it's 2.38.
His ERA in this game is 8.
Yeah. That's bad.
well, no more because he only pitched 3 innings, and he gave up 4. It's like a 10 or
Yeah.
something.
9.
Right.
Not yeah. What is he at for the season? Because last year he was at like a 6 or 7.
He is
Which
for
is
the
bad.
season at an 8.
He's kind of at Chris Davis status, not that bad, but he's only playing because of his contract. Like he's not good enough even to have a major league spot at this point.
Oh, he snuck it in there. Sneaky.
He gave up 10 hits and 6 runs.
The Nats just don't want us to wrap this up. I feel
I
like
know. They're
they're like, you will not have a
the
short
Caps give me
podcast.
nothing for my tank, and then the Nats are making me say,
Yeah, they're like,
Chris Davis up to these days.
We were about to be like, the Nats are terrible. Podcast
the
over.
good
Bye.
things, but it's pissing me off.
The only team in recent history that's moved up in the draft lottery, though, has been New York, the Rangers. They had like a 2% chance to get the first overall pick, and they got it.
Oh yeah,
I want to say,
yeah, they got
So
somebody
it's
really
just
good
like-
too.
if we're gonna tank for Bedard, then we have to tank for.
Yeah, Champ's gonna go to sleep at night. Champ, thanks for coming in and modding, and thank you, Andy, for staying here as well for just a couple minutes left. I mean, the second this inning's over, we're gonna at least wrap up the podcast. We're gonna figure out who we're gonna raid, and almost took his head off with that pitch.
Yeah, a
It's-
statement.
Yeah,
Back
two,
up off the
two
plate.
balls, 0 strikes, 2 outs, top of the fourth. Tie game 4-4. Base runners on first and second. That's what it's doing.
Their pitchers on the ropes.
Yeah.
Otani off the bullpen.
Shot clock or the pitch clock. It's 5 seconds left.
Yeah, can they
Hey,
just
can
switch
you-
to
I can give,
Ohtani
I
like
can give
in
pitch
game?
clock updates now. All right, it's a strike. 2-1. Dominic Smith is single in the second and has scored a run, averaging 303 on the season. Ooh, it's a pop up. And
That's
that's
an-
out and an end of our podcast.
Drop it.
At least we ended on a tie, so we won.
Yeah.
Oh no, we've won both and a tie, so we're at least ending in a pretty good place.
Yeah, I'll
And-
take it. That's a good record
and-
for one night,
Yeah, exactly.
especially with this.
So
For
they,
DC Sports, yeah.
they'll still probably choke it away, but at least in the middle of the
Yeah.
fourth, it's a close game, and I like to see the effort and the comeback there. I'm gonna end the audio podcast real quickly and our Facebook Live, and then we will finish up stuff on Twitch right after that. But thank you everyone for tuning in on the Facebook Live. Thank you, Arun, for joining us in the Nats Talk segment, and Tim joining me live in the Man Cave, and Benson
Definitely.
voice live in the Man Cave as well. We've got Gil and C4 earlier, and Champ as well. So a full show tonight for episode 2 of season 8 of Sports in the Hill podcast. Again, the website has been updated, sportsothp.com. Catch all of the episodes from this week, last week, and I did a bunch of guest shows last week, and they're all up on the website as well. You can click on the podcast partners button to find out more about the Power Play Point podcast, which we recorded live yesterday on this channel, which you can check out the lives for, but also get the audio over there. And you can also click on the No Spots podcast, also on the podcast partners, and you get all of our bios: Arun, Tim, mine, Gil's, and Champs, all on Team Sports OTHP button. I hope people enjoy the new website. I hope people have a great night. We will talk about the Nationals and Defenders next week, and we'll recap the last week of the Caps and take a look at the NHL playoffs, and maybe give a little update on how the NBA playoffs are going as well. So I hope people can tune in next week. We'll talk to you then. Let's go Nets. Stop the
Recording stopped.
We're out on Facebook as well. Yep, all good. All right. I think we're gonna raid KR like we always do. Unless anybody has another suggestion in chat. If not, I think KR is the obvious. We're gonna raid a dog right now. He's on break, but we're gonna jump in there. I hope that everyone has a great night. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Oh, there's a Pokemon chat. Hold on. Okay, catch Pokeball. We'll let this Pokemon go. If anyone wants to catch it real quickly before we go, you can do that. I will start the raid call. If people want to do that, raid and sub raid is in chat. People can copy either of those. Thank you for all the lurkers and everyone for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in on Facebook and all the stuff. Hope that people go check out my Disney vlog if they want to see something that's really cute. It's over on the YouTube channel. If people want to check out the new emotes, we've now got a Zach emote to go along with the Zara one. I've got another really cool Zara one, but it hasn't gotten approved yet by Twitch. Thank you, Andy, for modding. I appreciate it. We are going to head over to KR now. I'm going to click the raid now button when the thing is. I'm trying to wait for the Pokemon to see if we got it. Oh, I caught it. Nice. All right. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll talk to you next week.